Oh, hello there. Yes, well, hurrah for getting through to midweek. We've lived this long. Hopefully we'll live for a bit longer. That's nice, isn't it? Anyway, yes, yesterday was another miserable day on social media. Daily Telegraph did its usual. I think I have to make this a daily thing of preposterous articles in their opinion section. We got this one from Rowan Pelling, whoever they are. Anyway, the only accent people are embarrassed by is a posh one. No wonder they are endangered. The authenticity is now connected to having a regional voice, but there's nothing wrong with Helena Rees-Mogg's accent, I can presume. Except, of course, none of that is actually in any way, shape or form true, is it? Because lots of people in this country are actually, really intensely dislike their accent. I can think back in the 90s when I was living in Birmingham. I know, forgive me, but somebody had to. Anyway, yeah, people there were fully aware of how entirely naff their accent was, but as they might have put it, at least they weren't from Dudley. Yes, or indeed Wolverhampton. You see, so people are embarrassed about their accents. They know just how scummy they are. But, of course, in the Daily Telegraph's world, it's only ever the rich that magically are the oppressed minority in the world. Minority? Yeah. Oppressed? No. I'm sorry, people that grow up in castles aren't ever oppressed. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Or if they are, magically, it's by people who live in other castles. That's the way that one works. Anyway, yeah, similar thing, in a certain extent. We had an article by Douglas Carswell. You must remember him. He was the one that, basically made sure that Nigel Farage is now safely ensconced in Clacton, because, yeah, he took over from there, didn't he? Good for him when he was the UKIP, before he actually had a few spats with Nigel Farage, the way that these people do, because, of course, one of the things that we're getting to realise very much about right-wing politics is just how much these people are engaged in personal spats. Anyway, the anti-white, anti-West ideology poisoning young minds is about to face a reckoning. Yes. You see, wokeists are always just on the cusp of defeat, whilst at the same time being incredibly powerful. It's always a knife edge, isn't it? The whole PC thing. If you think about it, political correctness, I've been hearing since the 1980s, is just about to fall apart, whilst at the same time ruining the world in its entirety. Abolishing the Department of Education and rolling out school choice will hand power from woke educational bureaucrats to parents, yes. And the article is just about America, because Dougie is now working, believe it or not, for the Mississippi Center for Public Policy. Mississippi? Really? Yes, and it's as Mississippi as you might imagine. Yeah, think Alabama, but with more police dogs and more racism. You get the idea. That Mississippi. Yes. Anyway, what he's doing here is, of course, saying that what a good idea it is to hand power back to parents. But of course, it isn't, is it? Because what he really means is, being the good Christian man that he is, which is probably why he's ended up where he is. How did he get to Mississippi? Flies, I know, but you know what I mean. Anyway, being the good Christian man that he is, of course, means that what it means, of course, is that we'll have Bible lessons for 5-year-olds, which is actually now starting to happen in Texas. Doesn't have to happen, but schools will get extra money if they do, naturally. And under Trump, such things will greatly accelerate. And all of those lovely Christians here will try and do the same thing, because although they're all for freedom of speech and choice and everything else, it's always about their choices and exactly what they want and their particular version of what Jesus might have wanted. Yes, anyway, you can read the piece for yourself. Don't really bother. It's the usual libertarian rubbish, because he exists in that world. Yes, imagine being not libertarian enough for Nigel Farage. It's quite a bizarre thing, isn't it? Anyway, speaking of such awful human beings, of course we end up with Connor Tomlinson, and in the cesspit that is now Twitter. It's amazing what a different experience Blue Sky is from Twitter. Twitter really is an incredibly nasty place. place. I know that I use it to keep an eye on all the right-wingers, but it really is insidious. Anyway, we get this. We get effectively the Home Office acts as a PR body for Muslims in the UK, demanding the British public not be enraged by the violent Islamists imported into their midst before the bodies of their children are cold. Yeah, nothing like a bit of hyperbole there, and it's all about something that Connor's written, how Islamists influence the UK government. Because, you see, Connor is one of those racists whereby it's fine for him to use those kind of phrases, even though he is obviously telling things that are lies, okay? What he really means is certain percentage of the British electorate are indeed Muslim, and some of them, shock horror, have influences on British public policy. Disgusting, isn't it? Yes, disgusting, isn't it? The Islamists. But what he really means is simply people that belong to religions that he doesn't like. Now, Connor, being the nasty racist that he is, because after all, he ascribes certain values to certain people that he doesn't ascribe to others who might well engage in the same behaviours. Now, I wonder what would happen if Connor had written an article about how the Jews influence UK government. Wouldn't that be anti-Semitic? Probably would, according to Connor, but magically it wouldn't be if he puts the words Islamists instead. You can see what he does there, you see? One of them is racist, but apparently the other one isn't. Odd, odd, odd. Odd world that he lives in. Well, no, not really, because these kind of Christian nationalists have a very particular agenda, and their very particular agenda very, very much comes out of places like Mississippi. Yes, and they're very, very, very much tied into the same group of people that Douglas Carswell is, because that's a lot of American money, nice American money, that can go into all of those nasty libertarian things, which will always proclaim freedom, but always freedom for their view of what God wants, because after all, that's what the evangelicals are after. They're after a nuclear Armageddon where the earth is cleansed. Yes, from bad types, like the wokists, like me, especially in education. Imagine me, saying to children about different views that they might have, when we all know there's only one particular one, and that's the Bible's one. The proper Bible, mind you, not the other ones, not the bad people's Bibles. No. Anyway, do have a gorgeous Wednesday. Delicious. Do enjoy your hump day. I'm kind of hoping I'm not going to get soaked today. It's a hope. It's a hope. Maybe I should pray. Maybe that's what I should do. Anyway, do have a good one, if you can.